man.
Get the noonday trail today.
Louis, don't even bother sitting down,
Get
sir.
it tonight.
Yeah, depending on what time. No, it'll be dark before I finish. Got to see what
Y'all ready?
No.
Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. If you'll please stand for our invocation and pledge.
If you'll join me for the invocation. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed on this city. Lead and guide this council to make the very best decisions we can. All this we ask in thy holy and precious name. Amen. Amen.
Join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Keeler, the roll, please.
Terry Hodge, Ward 1. Here. Jay Stepp, Ward 2.
Here.
Louis Thompson, Ward 3.
Here.
Lindsay McDaniel, Ward 4.
Here.
Diane Tate, Ward 5.
Here.
Taft Wren, Ward 6.
Here.
Thank you, Connie. Our first order of business is the approval of the council meeting minutes from our May 5th meeting. Council, you've had these well in advance of tonight and had an opportunity to look them over. Chair will entertain any edits that are needed at this time. If not, a motion would be in order.
Make a motion to approve, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved unanimously. Mr. Anderson, why don't you get us started off on the right foot this evening?
Yes, sir, Mayor. We have a proclamation for the council tonight. It is for National Boating Week, which begins this Saturday. We've got some gentlemen here from the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and I think it's very appropriate for us in the fact that we have the Altoona Lake, which is one of the most visited cities, most visited lakes in the nation, as well as the Etowah River, which is home to the Etowah Water Trail, and we have a canoe kayak launch on that. So it's very appropriate for us to do this proclamation.
All right. I will, why don't I read the proclamation, then we'll get to presenting it. How about that? It says, what does it say? There it is. Whereas the city of Cartersville, Georgia, with its unique weather and water resources, offers special water-related recreational activities to its residents and people from all around the world. And Georgia has over 100 miles of saltwater tidal coastline, over 400,000 acres of inland lakes, and over 12,000 miles of rivers and streams that provide many of the needed outlets for recreation and relaxation. And included in these recreational outlets locally is Lake Altoona, one of the most visited lakes, as Greg mentioned, and the Etowah River, home of the Etowah River Water Trail, a 167-mile water trail that has access through the Leak Mounds Canoe Kayak Launch, operated by the city of Cartersville Parks and Rec. Whereas recreational boating is one of Georgia's leading outdoor activities, with millions of residents participating in this pastime. And every year, lives are lost in boating accidents in spite of educational efforts of the U.S. Coast Guard, the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary, and the U.S. Power Squadrons, the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, and local agencies. Whereas federal, state, and local agencies, along with private companies and groups, have combined their efforts to reduce boating accidents by developing and executing safety training programs such as Boat Smart, Boat Safe. And whereas the sponsors of these programs have focused their efforts on educating youth and general public on Georgia on how to enhance their boating experiences while avoiding loss of life and reducing loss of property. Now, therefore, I, Matthew J. Santini, Mayor of the City of Cartersville, do hereby proclaim May 21st through 27th, 2016 as Safe Boating Week, and urge all citizens to join learning and practicing safe boating by wearing a life jacket, taking boating education courses, getting a vessel safety check, operating their vessels responsibly, safely and soberly, and obeying Coast Guard regulations established after September 11th relating to Homeland Security. So if you'll step forward, sir. I'm sorry I had an opportunity to meet. If you'd like to address, if you'll give your name and address for our clerk, and if you've got anything that you'd like to add to this.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, my name is Robert George. I'm the Flotilla Staff Officer for Program Visits for Flotilla 22. We are very pleased that the Council of Cartersville has given us this proclamation. We appreciate it very much, and we thank your support.
Thank you for your service, and I'll come down and give this to you. We have another proclamation, and Monica Ellis is with us, and I'll ask her to come forward in just a moment. I'm going to read this proclamation for Lupus Month, Lupus Awareness Month. It says each year the Lupus Matters Corporation designates May as National Lupus Awareness Month to show support for the estimated 1.5 million Americans who have lupus. And where lupus is an unpredictable and misunderstood autoimmune disease that ravages different parts of the body, it is difficult to diagnose, hard to live with, and a challenge to treat. Whereas lupus can affect any part of the body, including skin, lungs, heart, kidneys, and brain, and no organ is spared. This disease can cause seizures, strokes, heart attacks, miscarriages, and organ failure. And whereas lupus can be particularly difficult to diagnose because the symptoms are similar to those of many other illnesses, and major gaps exist in understanding the causes and consequences of lupus, more than half of all the people with lupus take 4 or more years and visit 3 or more doctors before obtaining a correct diagnosis. Whereas lupus strikes mostly women of childbearing age, no one is safe from lupus. African Americans, Hispanics, Latinos, Asians, and Native Americans are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop lupus, a disparity that remains unexplained. And where 55,000 citizens diagnosed in Georgia are affected by lupus, I'm Matt Santini, Mayor of the City of Cartersville, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2016 as Lupus Awareness Month in the City of Cartersville, and encourage citizens to observe this month by educating themselves on the symptoms and impact of lupus, and to join with the Lupus Matters Corporation in supporting programs of research, education, and community service. So I will ask Ms. Ellis to step forward. Would you like to say anything about your organization? Kind of put you in a bad position if you say no now.
Hi, everyone. My name is Monica Ellis. I'm with the Lupus Matters Corporation, and we're just here to provide a service of awareness to lupus. And anyone with discoid lupus, as I have it, that have lost their hair and their nails and everything else, we just want to get the word out about it and do more research on it. So, thank you.
Right there? Okay, absolutely. Guess what? Mr. Hardigree, if you'll come forward and get us started on another great bit of recognition we get to do tonight.
All right, thank you. So we have 2 tasks for the Historic Preservation Commission tonight. The first one being a proclamation that's before you, Mr. Mayor. We have 2 members from the Historic Preservation Commission tonight who will be glad to accept the proclamation on behalf of the commission.
All right. I'll try to read this one quickly. My voice is about shot. National Historic Preservation Month. The City of Cartersville is a treasure trove of historic resources, including properties in the Downtown Business District, the Cherokee-Cassville Historic District, Granger Hill Historic District, the Old Town Historic District, and the West End Historic District. Whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped the City of Cartersville and us as a people. Historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas historic preservation is economically, environmentally, and socially sustainable, fostering a culture of reuse and maximizing the life cycle of all resources through conservation, therefore I, Matthew J. Santini, Mayor of the City of Cartersville, do proclaim May 2016 as National Preservation Month and call upon the people of Cartersville to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in this observance. Now what? Would you like to say something, Mr. Frisbee? I know.
I was just going to come up for the photo.
You talking, I'll make my way down there, okay?
I think David's going to speak a little more in depth about these 2 renovations. So I won't steal anything that you have to speak about this evening. both of these homes were major, very extensive renovations. I would go as far as to say that these were two houses that were saved. Both of the owners are here, and I'm pretty sure that both owners were the contractors. They did the work themselves. So that's about it. We've got another member from the HPC here this evening, but we've just got a lot of great things with the HPC. We work well with the community. It's saving a lot of homes downtown, and it's really attracting folks to come downtown to make that investment. So thank you very much.
So you might want to stand down here, and we'll keep this
Well,
very short
I'm gonna allow
tonight.
Ms. Tate to hand those out.
Oh, okay, very good.
I'm not gonna allow her, I've asked her if she would be so kind as to do that. So-
Okay, and she's accepted, all right. As Mr. Frisbee alluded to, there are 2 awards tonight in recognition of Historic Preservation Month. The commission voted on several selected sites in April at the April meeting. They selected 2 for a presentation tonight. The first site is 101 Fight Street. The applicant and owner is H.J. Fitzgerald. People know him as Buddy. He's here tonight with his wife, Carol. This was a pretty common overhaul. We got new siding. They added shutters. They removed an old carport on the side, touched it up, new paint, put a lot of effort into it themselves. And this was worthy of an award by the Preservation Commission. So I'd like for Buddy and his wife Carol to come up tonight to accept their award on behalf of the Preservation Commission. And the second project selected is 411 West Main Street. Tim Warren and his, I guess Brad Frazier is his partner in crime on the project, and Mr. Warren's family is here tonight as well. Again, this was another pretty extensive project. They did a lot of the work themselves, and we found out too that what I thought was a before picture, and one that Catherine had included with the write-up, was actually not a true before picture, but it was about midway through the renovation. So there was obviously more work that was done than what this picture in the top left corner represents. But the picture in the bottom right corner represents the finished product with new siding, more decorative work, new windows. I think there was a new wall on the porch that went in, and some landscaping. So they put a lot of time and effort and resources into this, and the Preservation Commission would like to recognize their efforts tonight with an award as well. So if you'd like to come up. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a comment. I know that I want to thank Mr. Frisbee and Ms. Holt for being here and for your time on the HPC. And to everybody, to the award winners tonight, the ones that were recognized, you know, the key to making Cartersville look great, I'd like to say it's the mayor, but it has nothing to do with me. It's the people like yourselves that invest in our community, that love our community, and willing to put in the sweat equity and the dollars and sometimes the heartache to make those things happen. So I want to thank you for your investment in our community and making us a beautiful place. I appreciate that. And I know that, again, we've got some other business to conduct. Sometimes people feel uncomfortable about getting up, but I'm going to give you a dispensation. You're welcome to stay, but if don't get up and run out right away. But if you have other things, if you got dinner plans, and Ms. Tate would like to say something before.
I do want to mention this. The Fitzgeralds restored their home thinking that this would be a part-time residence for them in Cartersville. They fell in love with us. They are now selling their other home, and this will be a full-time residence. So we hear that more and more from people. So all of you, welcome.
Thank you to all of you. All right. Mr. Sanders, you get to follow all that up, and I don't know that we're going to clap for you when you're done, but
Thank you, Mayor, Council. We would like permission for the mayor to sign two documents that are required by GDOT for us to have on file. We have to renew these documents every 3 years. Basically, they promise that we'll comply with Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Title VI has to do with providing services equitably and not discriminating in the way that we provide services. So these are just standard documents that we have to have on file for like the T grants, the off-system safety project monies that we use to stripe the roads, and any federal funds that the city receives.
okay, thank you. Any questions, comments, and if not, a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Tommy. Mr. Riggs, you're up next.
Yes, sir, we got a not-to-exceed price of $31,000 from Smith & Smith, and this is to survey our Transco interconnect route, do profiles on 2 creek crossings, and do all our easement drawings.
Thank you. Any questions for Gary on this item? And if there are none, a motion would be in order.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Gary. Mr. Porter, you got the next three.
Yes, Mayor. The first item is electronics and camera for the fiber department. The camera is going to be for the water department to install several of our water tanks for security purposes. But the total cost of the electronic switches and cameras is $13,659, and I recommend approval of this.
Okay. Any discussion?
Mayor, I was just wondering, where are these cameras, where is it monitored? At the police department?
The police department has monitored, but actually they're cloud-based, so Bob Jones and his staff can monitor over the web as well.
That's the price.
The total price for the switches and cameras is $13,659.
I mean, comparison to the city lights, other lights of that type.
The cameras, I mean, have given us, we've bought cameras throughout the years, and they've given us a number of years, probably 4 or 5 years of service before, good quality service. And like I said, you can, as Ms. Tate, they can watch them over the web, and they can monitor if we have a large amount of rain. They can see if the sewer lines are overflowing or anything, depending where they're at.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please, Dan.
The next item is our geographic information system. It's a reference station we bought 7 years ago, and the antenna on the city hall or city manager's building broke last week, and then the server also crashed. So we need to purchase a new server and need GIS or GPS server. And the total cost of this is $10,000. I recommend approval of this purchase as well.
Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
The last item, Mayor, is a hydraulic reel trailer for our fiber optic department. They need, when they haul fiber to different locations, they need a reel trailer that's more safe and secure for our personnel. Total cost of this is $8,300.
Okay, any discussion? If not, a motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Molinax, you got the next two.
Mayor, Council, the Water Department has received bids for the design and construction of a automated system for monitoring and feeding sodium hypochlorite at our water pollution control plant. It's a chemical we use for disinfecting. The low bid was submitted by Pipeline Controls and Services in the amount of $11,515. We recommend approval of this. It will be paid for from the maintenance of the water pollution control plan account.
Questions for Ed on this?
Mayor, just a question. Ed, I don't know, I know we were fined because of bleach feed issues. What actually happens when there is too much
Well,
bleach that goes into?
Or if it's underfed, then you don't get adequate disinfection.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's the problem.
When did you quit wearing glasses?
But if there's too much, can there be such a thing as too much bleach going into the river?
We also dechlorinate, so that's the other thing we do. We have to remove the chlorine after it disinfects.
Thank you.
You can answer the other question after the meeting's fine with me.
I'll answer that. It's actually kind of interesting.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Please continue, Ed.
The other item, we received prices for doing meter calibration and testing. We have a program that we started in 2014 where we went through on all of our large meters, testing the meters to see if they were accurately registering. As a result of this, we estimate we've saved over $100,000. So far, we've tested the meters that are at our wholesale metering stations where we sell water, and then also a couple of the large industries. This will be to continue the program with some of the other large industries. We received prices from 3 different companies on this. The low bid was submitted by Reed and Shows Meter Solutions in the amount of $5,850. We recommend approval of this, and it will be paid for from the maintenance to meter and settings account.
Any questions on this item? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve the low bid. Second.
Thank you. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We do have one item to add. Chair will entertain to add that item.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item is added. Mr. Lovell.
Yes, Mayor, y'all received an adding lighted notice from law firm of Aiken and Tate regarding an incident involving a Barney Miller. We're recommending that y'all deny this claim at this time, and they'll put them on notice, and then they can determine if they wish to file suit or not.
Thank you. Any questions about this item? And if not, a motion.
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Reinhardt, the financial report, please.
Honorable Mayor and Council, we'll be looking at the March 2016 and comparing to March 2015. In the general fund, revenues increased over last March by $9.9 million. Again, this is like an old story. The school system paying off the bond early. Expenses also increased by $9.4 million, again with the school system paying off their bond early. 3 areas of revenue I'll look at on a monthly basis in the general fund are the local option sales tax. Have a decrease there of about $215,000. Police fines and forfeitures have a decrease in that area of about $105,000. And in the building permits and inspection fees have a decrease of about $24,000. If you remember this time last year, we had a large increase for the, I believe it was the BIG project. That kind of is taking over on that area. In the water and sewer fund, revenues increased over last March by $567,000. Expenses decreased by $869,000, and this is due mainly to decreased capital expenses. In the gas fund, revenues decreased over last year by $3.7 million. Expenses have decreased by $2.6 million. This decrease is due largely to decreased costs in purchased gas. In the electric fund, revenues have increased over last year by $775,000. Expenses decreased by $119,000. This is due mainly to increased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, and increased capital expenses, coupled with a large decrease in cost of electric purchased electricity. In the stormwater fund, revenues decreased over last year by $1,800. Expenses decreased by $206,000. This is due to decreased operating expenses and decreased capital expenses. In the solid waste fund, revenues increased over last year by $141,000, and expenses increased by $179,000. And this is due to increased personal expenses, increased operating expenses, and increased capital expenses. And then finally, the final fiber optics fund, revenues increased over last year by $102,000, and expenses increased by $111,000 due to increased personal expenses, increased operating expenses, and increased capital expenses.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions on the financial report?
Just note that the gas deficit corrected like we thought.
Correct.
Eventually Gary sold enough and we're doing okay there.
And that's pretty typical also.
Yep.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm just noticing through the, March 16 to March, comparing to March 15, I mean, profit-wise, we're doing pretty good compared to last year. Is there anything that's gonna happen in the next 3 months that's gonna flatten that out?
We may have some, are you talking in overall, or?
Yeah, just, I mean, if you just go down through here and you add them.
There are a couple of items in the capital area, in the water fund particularly, that may come back to, in particular, the finishing of the highway widening on 411, 41 connectors.
Yeah.
They have not gotten their finished grading to cover up the piping in that area. So that probably, from more likelihood, will come back.
That's what I mean. Okay.
Any other questions for Tom?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just want to wish those graduating big weekend, congratulations, especially the one that's residing in my house currently. So weather, I don't know if the weather's going to hold out for graduation tomorrow, but it'll happen one way or another. It's a happy time not just for Cartersville High School students, but also those at Woodland, Excel, Cass, and Adairsville. Just everybody be safe while you're celebrating. So there's no other further business. Chair, I want to get a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Adjourn. Give a rump out of that guy.